Motorsport 411 presents
all the four- and two-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411 with Sean Cardovillis.
Welcome to Motorsport 411, your home for all your four- and two-wheel action in Africa. Coming up in this episode, we catch up with Guy Botterill, who's with the Toyota Gazoo Racing team as they prepare for the 2023 Dakar Rally. We find out all about the just concluded 2022 rally season in Zambia with sports commentator Logan Naidu. And we have a roundup of the national autocross season with Clerk Of The Course for the RSC Autocross, Tuta Mionki.
All the four- and two-wheeled action. Motorsport 411.
Welcome to the show. So a couple of weeks ago we spoke to Guy Botterill, who was competing in the South Africa Cross Country Series. He's helping the Toyota Gazoo Racing team prepare for the 2023 Dakar Rally. Here he is in Namibia.
We finished a whole week's worth of testing in the Namibian desert. Very similar terrain to what the guys are going to be expecting at the Dakar, so it's a very good test for everybody. The cars were unbelievable. They've made a huge improvement since last Dakar, and even since the last event we did about a month ago. There's been big upgrades that have come to the car, so really exciting. Looking forward to it. And then just the guys are under pressure in the workshop to get the cars ready to leave. They're leaving shortly, and it's always last minute rush to get the cars ready, get the parts ready, and it's a huge effort to get everything ready and then guess estimate how many spares you need and what would be enough, and there's always space limitations, so it's always a big job to get the right amount of spares available. So the guys have got a lot to do, but I spent a lot of time, a whole week in the car with Henk and Janelle, and then I got to drive a bit at the end. Very, very tricky to drive in the sand dunes. You have two faces to a sand dune, which is basically the slip face, which is the steep angle, and then the other side is a more gradual round curve, which is very easy to drive, and then the next minute it just drops away completely. I think it's about a 35-degree angle. It's the slip face where the sand slips down, so very, very easy to make a mistake and very easy to go head over tail in those sort of conditions. So the guys just need to be very awake when they're driving in the sand dunes. I think it's going to be a good Dakar. I think these are the best Toyotas that are going, and we've got three really good drivers: Nasser Alatia, Janelle de Villiers and Henk Latergang. They will certainly do us all proud, and it's really exciting to being part of the test team at this top end level. So really looking forward to the results coming in, and looking forward to the first day, and we'll be watching it very closely. Thank you. Cheers, man. Bye.
That's Toyota Gazoo Racing's Guy Botterill in Namibia. Now the Zambia Rally season has concluded for 2022. Here's sports commentator Logan Naidu. Logan, thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411. You're currently in Malawi for a swimming competition. What's happening exactly?
Yeah, I'm in Malawi, Lilongwe. I'm officiating at the Region 5 Youth Games, a number of sports on showcase here. And as you know, I'm event coordinator and announcer for the Confederation of African Swimming Zone 4. So we're just conducting it. Had a heavy day. Yesterday was the first day, and it's a brand new pool, and teething problems, some blocks pulling out, but we fixed it. We're going through, and now we're rolling, so it's really good fun. It's quite a show, when we actually put it on. But yeah, great fun.
Now the rally season has just concluded in Zambia. How did it go?
It was a very interesting season, to be frank. We had 6 rounds, and after 5 rounds, we had 5 different winners, can you imagine? So it was quite a toss-up as to how it would all pan out. Leroy was in Africa. Munna Singh Jr. built a car like two rallies in and decided to enter the championship. And Yeah, I think it's the first time we've had a season where you have one round remaining and every other rally was won by a different person. Very interesting and, yeah, a bit different.
Just give us more details on the winners and how the final round went.
So, like I said, we had 5 different winners over the first 5 rounds. And coming down to the last event, there was 3 drivers who could be Zambian champion. And that's Mujo Samakoloi in his N14 Subaru. Munna Singh Jr., who had built a GC8, and he put all the running gear from an N10. So we call it the GC10. Well, it's been nicknamed the GC10. And Leroy Gomes, who had entered the whole season in his Evo 10, because, as you know, he was in Africa, competing in Africa with that R5 Ford Fiesta of his. So I don't think a lot of attention was put on the Evo 10. So he had a few technical issues. And Mujo, actually, he led it, and he led comfortably for a while. And I think it all went awry in Monzi, where Leroy's car broke, Farouk's car broke, and Mujo's car broke. Junior's N10 limped to the finish, and he won it. And that kind of, put Mujo on the back foot. And then there was the international rally where, the guys were just moving, eh? Muhammad Issa was flying, Junior was flying. I'm talking about the local championship, not the Africa contingent. And Leroy, from the nationals, he came second in the Africa in Zambian International Rally, but he won it for the nationals. So it just threw the cat amongst the pigeons.
Logan, what's the state of motorsport like in Zambia?
Look, it's healthy. There's a very big following. Uganda, I think, I've seen the biggest crowds, but Zambia's close to it. They love motorsport here, rallying, especially, And we used to get 30 entries, 34 entries. We're down to about 20. But that's not to say that, rallying is struggling in Zambia per se, that people don't want to race. I think it's global, to be honest with you. But we feel it more in Zambia. It's economic. There's a number of cars parked. It's just a bit expensive for everybody. But, bad times pass everybody, and we'll get through it, and it'll start to grow again. There's a lot of interest from younger folks. So let's see how it goes.
Now, it's more than coincidence we're talking to you. You're actually the uncle of Leroy Gomes.
The uncle story. To be fair, I think it's become a nickname. Yes, Leroy and Ursula are my nephew and niece, and I'm so proud of them, for what they have achieved in a short space of time in rallying. Leroy wasn't, from a rallying family, as in, he came in, he was already married and a successful businessman. He didn't grow up racing. But, he took to it like a duck to water. And he plugged away, got advice from everybody, and he grew. They grew as a couple, and they grew to the extent of to the finality of being African champions. The first in history, a couple, husband and wife, are African champions. And here in Zambia, we're really proud of them, I think it was a concerted effort by many people, his crew, the family behind, And Leroy is not shy to ask advice, He's not one of them blokes who knows it all. He'll ask, he'll absorb, he'll process, and he will adapt it to his way of thinking and his way of driving. He's a very calculated driver, to be honest. He's not the balls to the wall kind of guy, Leroy will approach an event tactically. And this is how he is. But that Uncle Logs thing, it's kind of become a nickname in Zambia. People my age call me Uncle Logs because everybody calls me that. And then it just becomes like a nickname, But yeah, Uncle Logs it is.
You were recently in Kenya. What's your opinion of Kenyan motorsport?
Yes, I was in Kenya a couple of weeks ago. We did the Rally Cross in Machakos. I believe that was your second event ever in Rally Cross. And I was enthralled, I'll be honest with you. It was, I've never really, we watched it on TV, World Rally Cross. It looks like fun, I've never experienced it firsthand. And I think, I don't know if I could say it's the way to go, because we have so many forms of motorsport, but it's one of the avenues. It's really fun. Everything is in one place. It's very high octane, and I had the pleasure to commentate with you. I found that brilliant. It didn't even feel like work, felt like we were just having fun, and it worked really well. It was a pleasure to meet you, but it was a real honor for the Kenyans to, come up and ask me to participate in what I do, in Kenya. I really appreciate that. And the reception was just second to none. Motorsport in Kenya, look, it's a lot bigger than Zambia. Talking to your, members of your fraternity there, Motorsport fraternity, it seems like you have an event every weekend, It's either motocross, it's a rally, it's rally raids, enduros. So, you have a lot bigger population. It seems very rife to me and alive, but the rallycross thing, the new one that's just come in, I believe you're going to have 4 events next year calendared. And I was having a chat to Baldy. We were driving to the track one morning, and he says, maybe 150, 200 cars from all walks, or all levels, from Group N's to the old Group A's to Classics. He believes there's that many cars parked in workshops in and around Kenya, and if you can pull those out into rallycross, that's going to be a sport to reckon with.
Logan, as always, thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Yeah, Sean, I so appreciate the opportunity you've given me, to speak on your forum, on your podcast, and, just expand some of my knowledge of Zambian motorsport and of the season, and of what I'm doing now and what we've done this year together, some of it. I really appreciate it. But I think all our seasons are done now. We can take a rest. It's the festive season, and I wish you and all your followers and friends a Merry Christmas, a prosperous New Year. God bless. Let's do it bigger and better in 2023.
That's sports commentator Logan Naidu. We'll be back.
All the 4 and 2-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411.
Welcome back. Now, the National Autocross Series concluded at Kasarani last weekend with 2 rounds back-to-back. Tuta Mionki was the Clerk of the Course for the RSC event on Sunday. Tuta, thank you very much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411. Congratulations, Clerk of the Course for the RSC Autocross, the final event of the season. How did it go?
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. It went very well, I believe. We had a back-to-back weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The Sunday was basically to cover the round 6, which was supposed to take place in June, but was postponed to prepare for the safari. And stark difference in that Saturday was hot and dusty, and Sunday most morning was just raining and wet. But a fantastic event, good entry. We had 36 starters. Very, very, very good entry and a very fun day.
Yeah, Sunday, the weather really made the headlines, especially on Sunday morning. What challenges did you face?
Well, the track is very grippy and I went around the track in the morning when it was still raining, and we had a few puddles, a few maybe slippery, a couple of slippery areas, but most of it was very compact, very grippy. So the only challenge we faced was some competitors feeling that they might not be able to do it. I think we had 2 drop out before the practice hit. Initially, we had 38 interested competitors. 2 dropped out, felt that they couldn't drive in, or their buggies couldn't handle the wet. A few felt that they were afraid to start, but once they went through the practice heat, they realized that it's an event that they can actually do. So we had a bit of delay because of that. We started the event at around 9:30. Of course, when it's that wet, what would be an average of 4 minutes per lap was coming to about 5. It dragged out pretty quickly later in the day, and we basically had a fantastic day.
36 entries, that's impressive. You and I, of course, were at the rally, the Guru Nanak rally, the week before. And it looks like autocross, the entries have still been quite impressive despite the economic circumstances.
Yes, we still have quite a good entry. I think the lowest we've had this season was round 8, about 20 entries, but round 3 had 40, round 6, 36, round 10 had 30. A very good entry. We still have quite a great interest in the sport, so we are happy about that.
What's been the difference for autocross? Why do you find the entries are still relatively high compared to other disciplines?
From my assessment, I believe it's the different age groups. This is basically the nurturing ground for the other disciplines, especially rallying. So we have fathers who are bringing their children to compete, and they compete as well. So you'll find that with the Bambino class and maybe a father, for example, Eric Bengi and his son Ian, or Caroline Gatimo and their daughter Tina. This weekend we had Jimmy Wahome racing against Maxine. So I believe the fact that we are trying to nurture kids from autocross to join the other, maybe rallying in particular, we have quite a number of interest. Then we have the two-wheel drive the two-wheel drive turbo class, which is very, very competitive. So you find that we have quite a number of entries in that class. I believe the different classes make it interesting. The different tracks as well. But I've realized the head-to-head tracks, for example, Kasarani, draws quite a bit of interest.
Very interesting. And of course, with the regulations relaxed a bit compared to, say, rallying, that also encourages entries.
Yes, it does. The different age groups means different classes and different cars, and you'll find that the regulations are not as strict as they are strict in their own right as autocross, but not as crazy as the rally ones.
Your assessment of the season for autocross?
We've had an interesting championship. Coming to the end of the championship, we had the battle coming into the weekend of the junior two-wheel drive non-turbo. Neil Gohil and Aman Ganatra, who were entertaining all weekend, with each winning 5 apiece of the 10 rounds. But eventually, I believe it went to Neil unofficially, but the official confirmation would have to come from KMSF. We also had a very good battle in the two-wheel drive turbo buggy class between Kahir and Azad Manji. Went down to the wire with Kahir winning it. We have that age group, between 18 and 20, 24, 25, quite a lot of interest in the championship. And I hope that we can keep it that way so that we basically have the competition and the interest in autocross going. I believe it's been a very good season. We've not had any issues. Nothing has hampered the season so far. And started well, ended well.
Tuta, great story. It's good to see you back in the navigator's seat. You're going to be with Caroline Gatimo. Just tell us about that at the Mini Classic.
First of all, for me, it's such a great honor to be invited to co-drive in the Mini Classic. I've always wanted to do a classic event. I've never been in a classic car. So this is a first for me, and it's very, very, very exciting. It will be 3 very long days with 3 sections each. Thanks to our sponsors, Minty Motorsport, who are taking care of everything. It's basically an arrive and drive situation. Excited, curious, a bit nervous, but the plan is to have fun and bring the car to the end.
You were initially supposed to be with Anne Taith. What happened?
I was initially supposed to be with Anne. She called me and invited me to co-drive her. You know, Anne is a legend of our sport, and I couldn't believe at first. Like that was exciting, just to be able to sit with Anne. Anne, unfortunately, was unable to compete and had to pull out. I'm not sure what the circumstances are, but hopefully we still get an opportunity to sit together in future.
All right. You're saying it's your first time in a classic car. What are you expecting from this rally?
The 90 kilometers, I think the last rally that I did was more than 30 kilometers per section was the initial 2012, 2013 rallies, because then we'd have an 80 kilometer section. So it's just basically going back to the roots of reading. I started with cross-country read, and then we'd use tulips only without pace notes, which is a similar situation without recce. So it's to dig deep, keep a calm mind, keep hydrated. I'm told by people who've done this before, you have to be really hydrated. Have as much fun as we can. Our plan is to bring the car to the end service every day. Hopefully we don't have to do a restart or get boogie time and that kind of thing, and bring the car to the end on the final date and have as much fun as we can.
All right. Tuta, as we mentioned, of course, we saw you at the Guru Nanak Rally the week before the autocross. And I think you, like everybody else, are concerned with the low number of entries. Your thoughts on what's happening at the moment?
I believe there are very many different circumstances surrounding the low entries. And I don't know, it could be economic tough times. We can't blame COVID, because COVID is... just came in 2020, but we started seeing the low entries earlier on, but it probably is playing a role in the hard economic times. Of course, the safety has to be key. We just need to find out how we can rally safely without the expense that comes with that. The clubman rallies, I believe, would be of great help. But I also feel like the interest in the sport has waned a bit. When you look at the number of spectators at each event as well, we had quite a good number on Sunday for the autocross, but on the day before was not as good. We need to put our heads together and see what can be done. It's pretty expensive. If you look at the seats, the helmets, the hands, the full safety gear, it becomes quite an expense. My thought would be getting the interest of sponsors back on board, whether it's for the championship or for individuals. But I'm glad that the CEO, Chairman Phineas, has put together a task force to look into that. And from what I've heard, quite a number of people have given their suggestions. So we are waiting to see what they come up with. I also think that if you can continue pushing the youngsters from this lower cutting and autocross, for example, and giving them as much help as we can in terms of, sometimes maybe free entry to just see how that can work, or just the interest, for example, like in autocross, and seeing if they're able to move to the rally category or discipline. But you have to keep the interest in the lower categories going, because we've had quite a number of people who are rallying now retired. A few of them, you're seeing them in the classic event. But if they retire and nobody's moving from the lower disciplines, that's where we feel that there's a huge gap there.
Very interesting. Thanks very much, Tuta Mionki, who was the Clerk of the Course for the RSC Autocross event. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411.
Thank you for having me.
That's the Clerk of the Course for the RSC Autocross at Kasarani, Tuta Mionki. We'll be back.
Motorsports 411 with Sean Cardovillis.
So that's it for the show this week. Our thanks to Guy Botterill, Logan Naidu and Tuta Mionki. Our thanks as always to Big City Studio. I'm Sean Cardovillis. See you next week.